Over the last few years, small wireless cameras like this one have become increasingly popular for home and business use.
What most people don't realize is that a lot of these cameras are unencrypted, which gives the potential warspyer a peek inside your house from up to a few hundred feet away.
To prove the dangers of wireless cameras, we're going to build the first ever automated handheld warspying device.
I'm Dan Heward.
I'm Kevin Rose. Welcome to Systm.
So what's the difference between a typical warspying setup and something we're going to build today?
So with a typical setup, you have three main devices.
Right.
One is your wireless video receiver like we have here. This is going to allow you to receive video content as you're driving around. This one actually has 4 different channels to choose from, so as you're driving, you're going to want to look, kind of surf through the different channels to try and find a feed.
Okay, so you're manually switching through these video feeds. The problem that I'm seeing then is that when you're switching through them, you're going to miss something.
Yeah, if you go too fast, you go too slow, you might miss a channel, so it's ideally really not the way we like to do it.
Okay.
The next thing that we have here is an inverter. This is going to plug into your cigarette lighter adapter and actually provide power for the wireless receiver. And then the last thing is your standard camcorder. It's going to allow you to give you an LCD, so when you're trying to find channels, you can actually see what's going on, and also the ability to record it.
So capture and record, definitely. Okay, so what exactly are we going to build today then?
So today we're getting rid of 2 of these different things. One, we want to be completely untethered from power. We're going to have it built right into a self-contained unit so that we don't have to be tied to the car.
Okay.
And the second thing is that we're tired of the manual switching. We don't have to go through 4 different channels. We might miss some content. So we're going to create a system that's going to automatically switch for us looking for video channels.
Okay, so let's get the tools together and let's get it started.
Let's do it.
Okay, out in front of us is all the tools we need to complete our project. Let's start from the end. What do we got?
So we got a standard drill for drilling holes into the side of our case. A rotary tool with a bunch of different various bits for making case modifications. Standard screwdrivers, soldering iron, a desoldering wick, and a solder sucker. Now this is really important because there's actually going to be some chips that we're pulling off and removing, so we're going to need that. We have a little jig for tight little components that we're working on. Also some needle nose pliers and wire snips and a ruler. And then on the very end, a couple of really important things for building our circuit, a power supply to power the circuit, and also a multimeter when we're doing some testing.
Cool. Now that we got all the tools, let's move on to hardware.
All right, so we got pretty much all the hardware that we need for the project, but before we get started, we want to give you a couple precautions. The first being, the second you start modifying a lot of this stuff, you're not going to be able to return it to the store, and you're voiding your warranty. And the second being that we're dealing with electricity today, so if you haven't done that in the past, and you really don't know what you're doing, please consult the advice of an expert so you don't hurt yourself.
Right.
Now, moving on to the hardware, the first thing that we're talking about is the wireless video receiver with the 4-channel selector.
Right, now also to view the wireless camera feed, you're going to need an LCD. In this case, we have a 7.2-inch LCD, common in most car entertainment systems. It also has a video input, which is going to allow you to connect to your wireless receiver.
Yeah, it's just video to video. It's a very clean connection. There's no need for conversion, so it's nice in that way. The next thing we have is an uninterruptible power supply, or UPS. This deals with 5 and 12 volts, and it also has a battery, so they don't have to be tethered to a hard line. We can actually just walk around with it and go anywhere.
The thing to remember, though, is that this is not your computer UPS.
Yeah, if you open up a computer UPS, you can actually really hurt yourself, so don't bother with that. We got this at an electronic specialty shop. That's where you should find yours.
Also, what we have some ICs, some resistors, capacitors, bracket screws, also some switches. We're going to get into that just a little bit later, though.
Yes, and one of the most important things that we have is our project box. This is where everything goes inside of this. This is the box that we're going to modify. Has a nice little handle at the top. This was actually a cache box that we found, but it works perfectly, and it'll actually house everything nice and neat. So that's all we need. We're going to clear off some of these components, and let's get building. So we're going to start off by taking apart the X10 wireless video receiver so that we can get access to that little manual switch.
Okay.
Once we take it apart and flip it over here, you're going to see there's a little metal housing that encases the switch that we're going to need to get to.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the soldering iron here, and we're going to heat up these different solder points, and then you're going to use the solder sucker so that we can get that out of there.
Right. Essentially how the solder sucker works is you just press down the plunger, get next to the solder point, hit the button, sucks it up. Easy as that.
That's all there is to it. And then once you get to that point and there's a little bit of solder left, we have our desoldering wick. You apply this next to the last little bit of solder, heat it up, and the solder will just climb up the little wick. It's good to finish it up that way.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and get started with this so we can get to that switch.
Sure.
So we remove the switch, and it's a 12-pin, 4-position slider switch.
Right, so what we created is this circuit to replace this switch pin for pin.
Yeah, there's a total of 5 chips on the circuit, and this is how they work. First, we have a 555 timer chip which is wired to produce a variable width clock signal. That's connected to a 4017 decade counter divider chip that's wired to count 4 positions.
Right. So which represents the 4 video channels that we're actually switching from.
Exactly. Now, we've wired the 2 4066 quad bilateral switches, which are also wired to replicate the 12 pins on the slider switch. Now, we've added some buttons to switch between auto and manual switching, so we've added a 5th chip, a 7400 quad NAND gate, wired as a switch to bouncer for the manual switch. Now, there's a couple different ways you can go about building this. We chose chips that are readily available off the shelf, and the entire thing is going to cost you about $10.
Right, now there's some additional resistors and a capacitor to make it all work, and the full schematic is at our website.
Excellent. Now, after you're done with the circuit, we want to move on to the X10 wireless receiver. We soldered 12 external wires here so they can interface with the circuit. So all the modifications are done here. Let's go ahead and bring out the additional hardware and put it inside our project box.
So here's the original box, but as you can see, we've made some major modifications.
Yeah, we started with the rotary tool, made a nice window here for the LCD.
Right.
Once you open up the box, you're going to see a bunch of different holes that we've drilled here. This is for mounting the various components with risers.
Okay, so let's put all the components together, fire it up.
Let's do it. So it's all put together and functioning. Now let's just take a look at the layout. We start with the 7.2-inch screen on the front. Now let's take a look at the components on the inside.
Right, so what we have, here's the X10 receiver, the battery, the custom circuit that we made. Here's the ups, and obviously the LCD up in the front.
Nice. Now, once we close this up, and on the very top here, we have a couple more options. This is for manually switching between the different channels, and this is to turn on automatic switching. Now, the automatic switching is controlled by this little slider here that adjusts the scan rate between the 4 individual channels. Underneath that, we have a coaxial connector that is used for hooking up an external antenna. And then below that, we have a video out if you want to record anything that you might come across. So that's all there is to it. Let's take out the field and see what we can find. All right, so we're in the car. We got the Warspying device hooked up, and we've also added an omnidirectional antenna that's going to allow us to find all of those open feeds.
And here's the directional antenna that we're going to use, made out of a V8 can. We're going to use this to pinpoint the exact location of where the wireless camera is.
All right, so let's drive around and see what we can find. Keep going. There's a little flicker. Right, hold on. There it is, there it is, there it is.
Oh, we got one.
I think we have one. That is a wireless, right there, hold on still. Right there. All right, so we found, it looks like an office complex. There's a wireless camera. What's inside? It looks like a desk or
some light spots there.
Yeah, some kind of window or something. We're gonna hop. Let's hop outside and see what we can see what we can find. All right, so we've got it locked down. We've got pretty much a crystal clear view of inside the business now. And it looks like that's actually the inside of the doors. Dan, go stand over there and let's see if we can actually see you inside the doors there.
Sure.
This cam, again, is 100% unencrypted. And there's Dan. Dan's ducking down right there. You can see him. And this is about 30-35 feet away, but we're not having any problem whatsoever because we're using a directional antenna to actually go right in and pick up the feed. So that's pretty much about it. It works perfect. Let's take this to a residential area and see if we can find anything else. Dude, I'm getting static all over the place. Nothing. It's not, oh, slow down. Back up. I think we got a signal. Hold on. Go back. Go. There, right there. Oh, dude, that's your car right there. There's your light. Hold on.
Yeah.
It's down the little side alley right there.
Yeah, there we go.
That's it right there. Okay, let's hop out. Let's see what it looks like. All right, so we found the unencrypted cam. It's between 2 apartment complexes in this back alleyway. We kind of have to be quiet because it's pretty late at night.
2 a.m.
Yeah, it's close to 2 a.m. Let's go and walk closer and see exactly what we can see.
Let's check this out. Get that signal.
It's completely unencrypted.
There you go. Look, check this out.
You can see us.
You can see us there.
There's Keith.
There's Keith with the light. He's got it.
Yeah, that's us. Nice. All right, we found another one.
Another unencrypted camera.
Let's get back in the car.
Yeah.
All right, the device worked. We were able to capture 2 unencrypted cameras from 60 to 70 feet away without a problem. So it just goes to show, if you really want to remain secure and private, you have to use an encrypted camera.
That's it for this edition of Systm. I'm Dan Hewitt.
I'm Kevin Rose. Until next time, later.